You know, personally, when it comes to being a beginner filmmaker, I think one of the hardest things is that you don't know what you don't know. And that was probably one of my biggest challenges when first starting out. And then it kind of got me thinking, what other challenges did I face when I was first starting out as a beginner? So I figured today we would break down the 5 most common mistakes that I made as a beginning filmmaker that probably other filmmakers have been making for a long time. What's good, creative fam? Brandon Washington here, and over the past 10 years I have been growing as a filmmaker, and the entire journey is not an easy one. There have been lots of people who have imparted wisdom along my journey, a lot of people who have pointed out flaws that I was making and helped me in order to get to a place to where I could get better. And the nice thing about that is that part of the journey actually never changes. You are always going to find little things that you could be doing better, but sometimes when you finally realize those things that you could be doing better, you kind of have this like epiphany moment where you're like, man, I wish I would have gotten this feedback months and sometimes even years ago, because these changes can really make a massive difference in your entire video production journey. And so the first one that I want to talk about is one that I know most people in that first year stage are dealing with, and that is shooting everything in auto. I know when I was first starting out in my video journey, I shot everything in auto, or I would shoot in like aperture priority or sometimes even shutter priority, and not really understanding what that meant, because quite honestly, whenever I'd switch into manual for all my video controls, I would never get it right, or I would just start randomly turning dials until everything looked properly exposed. And so it really just came down to the fact that I just didn't know how to do it right. I didn't know what I didn't know. And so when it comes to trying to get out of auto, this is probably one of the first places I think filmmakers should start, because this is how you actually go about dialing in your exact look, because it's your look that ultimately dictates your style. So knowing how to film in manual is kind of crucial. Now, I know it might be a little daunting. That is the reason why I actually created an entire free training course on how to shoot video getting out of auto. I'll have that link down below in the description. It's absolutely free. I've had hundreds of students already take it and have given me fantastic feedback on how it has been beneficial to them. So if you are a beginning filmmaker and you're not even really sure where to start, my beginner's guide to video is a free resource that I made just for you. Speaking of free resources, let's talk about another awesome free resource with today's video sponsor, Wirestock. Now, Wirestock is an online platform that allows you to upload your video content directly to them, and then they put it across all the major stock video websites on your behalf. We're talking Pond5, Adobe, and so many others. Now, you might be thinking, Brandon, I'm just a beginner videographer. Can I be uploading stock video? Well, trust me, this is a bonus mistake that I personally made when I was first starting out, was thinking that my footage wasn't worthy of being put on stock sites. But what's actually interesting is that there's so much footage on stock websites, and there's even more that is needed, whether that's from your specific niche that you like to film, or even just your specific area that other people can't travel to in order to get content from. With Wirestock, you can upload your content to them absolutely free, and then they do all the hard work. And the best part is they only make money if you make money, because they take a small percentage from the actual sales. So if you're a beginner and you're just starting to shoot video, don't make this bonus mistake that I was making, which was not uploading my content for stock video. All right, my second biggest mistake that I made as a beginning filmmaker, and this is one that unfortunately I pretty much did for like half of my journey, and I didn't realize how bad this was actually hurting me, and that was trying to be the one-man band. There were so many sets that I went on where I was trying to operate camera and direct talent and set up lighting and do audio and set up, my tripod and make sure that audio sound right while I was also talking to the client. And I was doing all of it on my own. And to be 100% honest, the main reason why I did this was because I was trying to keep as much of the money that I was making, especially at the beginning. I was afraid to hire someone else out to help me because I thought, well, if I pay them, then I make less and I need to make as much as I possibly can right now. But what I didn't realize was happening was it was affecting the work that I was doing. I would run into issues where the camera and everything would look great, but the audio would sound bad, or the audio sounds super crispy, but then I forgot to do something else while I was on set and I forgot to capture something. And when you're trying to do everything, you can't do anything perfectly. When you start bringing out people, you'll really start to see your entire production quality just continue to elevate. And this is what I found was one of the biggest challenges. Whenever I was trying to do it all on my own, I couldn't get my image quality or my production quality to a point that I was really proud of. It wasn't until I started bringing more people on set and started hiring people out that not only did my production quality increase, but then the amount that I could actually charge to do these productions could also increase because it was warranted. Trust me, no client is ever going to feel comfortable giving you 10 to 20 or even potentially $50,000 for a project and then you're the only person who comes out on set. They're expecting a crew when the budgets get bigger, and so go ahead and start getting into the habit as early as you can to get out of that one-man band mentality. Now, I think the third biggest mistake I made actually came around the time where I started figuring out that I could learn filmmaking from YouTube, just like many of you guys who are searching this video. And that was where I was watching some of the wrong creators and taking advice from the wrong people. So what do I mean by that? Well, not all filmmaking is the same, or not all videography is the same. You know, you might be thinking about shooting car commercials, or maybe you're thinking about shooting short films. It's important that you watch creators and that you get feedback from creators who are creating the same type of content that you do. For example, here on my channel, I talk a lot about working with clients because most of my journey has been in the freelance and commercial space. I primarily work with clients and create content for other people. I don't at this time make too many short films. I've worked on a couple and I've dabbled in them, but it's not an area that I talk about. So if your goal is to actually shoot short films, maybe you should be watching other creators who actually teach on how to shoot short films, like Film Riot, for example. So I do strongly think that it is important not only that you get great information, but that you get information from people that are actually working in the fields that you see yourself wanting to move into. I've always said, whether that's my channel or another channel, my goal is just that creators are out there doing what they love and figuring out a way to financially make that a viable solution for them. So if that's my channel, fantastic. Hit that subscribe button and join the club. But if that's somebody else, I totally understand. At the end of the day, you should be finding creators that are helping you move in the way that you actually want to move. Now, the fourth one is, I kind of start laughing as I say it because it's a problem that I think I still face even to this day, and that is buying too much and buying the wrong gear. Now, I know as a filmmaker, and especially someone like myself who not only loves doing video production, but I also love tech in general, I love buying new gadgets. I love buying new toys, and of course, because this is my business, I like to say, oh, I can just write that off, or oh, that's a business expense, whatever. But the truth is, we typically buy way more than we actually need, and this is an ongoing battle. One thing I would strongly recommend you do, especially when you're first starting out, is really focus on the projects that you are currently working on and buy gear that'll help you do better work on what you are currently doing. Not what you plan on doing, but what you're currently doing. And then for the gear, as far as like what you plan on doing in the future, rent that gear. I wish somebody would have like sat me down when I was first getting started. And quite honestly, like back then there weren't as many rental houses and renting gear wasn't as easy as it is today. But I do wish that I had the ability to rent way more gear when I was first starting out, because if you get into the habit of renting gear, you'll build like a really strong work ethic when it comes to making sure that you are only getting the gear that you need, you rent the gear that you want, and then you make sure that you bill that out to your clients, especially when working on commercial projects. So that way you're not going into debt or maybe buying more gear than you really need for your projects. And the fifth and final mistake that I made a lot when I was first getting started is that I pretty much would shoot anything and everything, and I would chalk it all up to getting experience. And personally, I think especially today with the way we have social media and the internet and just so many opportunities, I would say that if you are a videographer and you are out there trying to shoot a specific thing, just focus on that thing. It's okay to eventually, spread yourself out and try shooting different genres, whether that's real estate or fitness or also shooting commercial projects or cars or fill in the blank. But I think a lot of times when we're first starting out, like for me, when I was first starting out, I would shoot anything and everything. And at one point that even led me down to taking photos for quinceañeras. Like, I had no desire to actually shoot quinceañeras. I had no desire to take photos even for quinceañeras. But what was interesting was that somebody made the offer and I just took it just because I was like, oh, this is more experience. And sure, there might be something to, if you are sort of interested in it and saying like, oh, let me go try it to see if this is something I want to do. But I knew at the time I had no desire to shoot quinceañeras. I didn't even want to be at a quinceañera, let alone shoot one. And so for me, I would just take these gigs hoping that maybe it would just do well for me. But what I found was really, it just kind of wasted my time. And instead of wasting my creative energy and dealing with clients at that point for a project that I wasn't even passionate about, I was probably better off just working on a spec project or going out and finding a client that would actually fall into what I wanted to be creating. So for the fifth and final mistake that I kept making, I would strongly recommend that if you have the ability, try to shoot projects that you are actually passionate about, because not only will they be better projects overall because you're actually passionate about them, but they'll actually lead you to being able to be better at those projects when you do more of them in the future. But there you have it, guys. Those are 5 beginning mistakes that I found myself making a lot as a beginner filmmaker and videographer. Please do us a huge favor. Let me know what is one big mistake that you made as a beginning videographer. Like, I know another one for me, just a little bonus one, was that I just did not prioritize lighting as much as I should. But let me know what was yours. What is one huge mistake that you made as a beginning filmmaker and videographer? Leave that down in the comments so we can start a conversation and maybe help some other videographers who are just getting started. Also, remember, I do have that Beginner's Guide to Video free video training course, also linked down in the description. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.